The first album that I've got on my calendar is the Norwegian death metal band Deception, and their new LP Dynecta comes out via Mighty Music this Friday, the 22nd of March. I have reviewed these in the past for Scream Blast Repeat. I think it was their 2020 album. I remember it being a quite a dark affair. By that, I mean not the type of music you would listen to in the wrong frame of mind. For example, a neo-suicidal one. But there's also kind of like a vicious misanthropy to this music, a bit like the mid-career Emperor albums. So I did enjoy that. It had some dramatic symphonic moments in as well. The musicianship is stellar. So I always like to see if a band that put out a well-rated album, or certainly one that I enjoyed a few years ago, are they able to take it to the next level? Are they going to consolidate? Are they actually going to go into decline? We will find out. I will give that one a listen. The next one is a band that I remember being a favorite of Terrorizer magazine in the early 2000s. Their debut, I think, came out in 2001, and that is the brutal death metal band from the United States, Brodequin, whose album Harbinger of Woe comes out via Season of Mist. Never listened to this band, just know the name. Occasionally you'll see their t-shirt at a European metal festival. Certainly a band with I don't know if I would say a cult following, but those that listen exclusively to death metal, they talk about this band quite often as perhaps one of the most underappreciated artists. So Brodequin, Harbinger of Woe, comes out via Season of Mist. The third album, we're moving over to that genre that's very hit and miss, technical death metal, and the band is an Italian artist called Hideous Divinity. The reason I'm going to listen to this, they're on Century Media. Any band that's on that, I'm always going to want to listen to their music, have an opinion on them. They are at the forefront on the Century Media, really, of contemporary metal. Their album's called Unextinct, and yeah, to be honest, tech death. The biggest crime of that genre is that it bores me to death after 3 songs. It really is lifeless often, isn't it? Great virtuoso musicianship, but there's just no life in it. There's no passion. So mechanistic. But I'm still waiting to discover a great album in that genre. I'm sorry to say, I have listened to Necrophagist. I just can't get into it. Same with Obscura. But who knows? This Italian band might be the one that changes my mind. We're moving on to the genre of Death Doom. Of course, me and Andy love this genre, don't we? How many bands do you know from the Faroe Islands? Well, Metal Blade Records have signed one, Hamfero, and their album is called Menguos Hond Sterk. I assume that is a sister language of Danish. Apologies if I've not pronounced that correctly. I always try to engage with the Germanic languages. That one probably didn't do it justice. Looking forward to this. Death Doom, there's a lot more misery and pain in this music. There's a lot of life in this music. I know that sometimes sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Criticizing a death metal band by saying there's not enough life in there. Well, the name of the genre gives that away. But yeah, I do seem to like the pain and suffering of this genre of music. So I will certainly be listening to that. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Another Metal Blade Records release. And we're going back to Italy here. Experimental metal. And the artist is called Keegan Church, or Kegen Church. And the record, Nel Nome del Codice. It just says experimental metal on my calendar. I've seen the press release and I colored it and thought, right, I definitely need to listen to this. I'm always open to certainly heavier forms of music, embracing experimentation, anything avant-garde, thinking outside the box, or sometimes in the case of a band like Meshuggah, thinking outside the planet. But yeah, this is something I will certainly be listening to. I don't know what to expect, but I know that it probably will not bore me to tears, which is now becoming increasingly the case, unfortunately, with a genre like death metal. Let's move on to the next one. So the 6th album that's on my list for this Friday, it's a self-release. It's a Swedish band called Shaving the Werewolf, and it's an album called God Whisperer. I just, again, read the press release, and Meshuggah, Dillinger Escape Plan, Car Bomb. As soon as I saw those 3 bands mentioned, I knew that this is something that I would gravitate towards. I do love mathcore, especially the heavier end of it. You can get some that obviously does flow into math rock, which I'm not really keen on, to be honest. But certainly bands influenced by Dillinger Escape Plan, like Frontiera, for example, are always going to get my attention. So that comes out again on the 22nd of March, Swedish band Shaving the Werewolf. Dreadful name for an artist, but that won't put me off. Thrash metal. We've got a psychedelic thrash split EP, two American bands via Boris Records. I know one of them, Sadistic Ritual. They were in the Scream Blast Repeat top thrash metal albums of 2022. Wormwitch, know the name. They're the other band on this split record. Psychedelic thrash. I imagine there'll be a few tongue-in-cheek heavy metal cliches in there as well. It's an EP. If you think about it, it's a split. I think there's 2 songs each, maybe even 3 songs each. Probably will be an easy listen, that. And come on, it's thrash metal, the greatest genre of the metal spectrum. And the last 3, we're going to move on to number 8. I will always listen to at least one black metal album. And this is a Spanish band called Atrexial, and the album's called The Serpent Abomination, and that comes out via Non-Serviam Records. Black metal, I like the experimental side. I don't like the lo-fi necro black metal that has kind of created a more sedate version of mayhem. So I will, if this is just full of those blast beats where you can just hear the ride cymbals and scratchy guitars playing dissonant chords, I'll probably lose interest after 3 songs. But I will give it a listen. So that's Atrexial, The Serpent Abomination. And number 9, probably the most famous band on this list. It's the black gaze band Sylvain, the Norwegian band. They've got an EP coming out called Flamand, and that's released via Season of Mist. Very prestigious record label that always gets my attention. Anything coming out by a Season of Mist, I will always listen to because I trust their A&R department. 90% of the time, the bands that they're signing are innovative. They're doing something new. Look at the legends that they've got on that roster. So Sylvain, EP, black gaze, that genre that doesn't really exist. If it does, it certainly never lived up to its potential. I can think of 2 bands, though, actually, who have done that. Dawn of Ouroboros, but that's more extreme metal with shoegaze elements. And then that South African band, Constellation, who are excellent. That is essentially, it actually is lo-fi black metal with Cocktail Twins. The luscious melodies and then the paradoxically aggressive vocals really do give them something unique. So there are 2 bands, I think, that have shown what you can do in the black gaze genre. I certainly would not be admiring, from what I've heard, Death Heaven. I know that they're associated with that. Didn't like the last album. I know that that's not really representative of their sound. Didn't like Sunbather when I heard that either. So black gaze, another one. I'm skeptical. I don't want to be cynical because you'll never have an open mind, will you, if you're going to go into something with cynicism. And then finally, number 10, and we're back home in England, and this is the album I've been waiting for, most anticipated this year, the Kingston upon Hull quintet, black and sludge grind band, Mastiff. Me and Andy are huge fans of this band. I've seen them live at a grindcore festival in Stevenage at the Red Lion in 2022. I loved their 2021 album. That was, I think, number 6 in the Scream Blast Repeat top 50 albums of that year. Fantastic music. This is released via the American label Monarch Heavy. And again, that comes out on Friday the 22nd of the 3rd. Look out for a future interview with Mastiff. I've already had conversations with the bass player, so we'll be doing a feature on them. Black and sludge grind. Come on, those 3 words, put them together. You know that that is going to be absolutely brutal, but at the same time, it's just going to have so much pain, but righteous pain as well. Cathartic pain. Yes, there'll be suffering, but there's so much humanity in it. I just love music like that. So Mastiff, Deep Precipice. And what the band is saying, they've gone in a bit more of a hardcore direction. So whether they are still a black and sludge grind band, who knows? One thing you can guarantee, it will absolutely melt your face. So that's the 10th pick for this week. Mastiff, Deep Precipice. Look out for an interview on Scream Blast Repeat. And that comes out via Monarch Heavy Records.